Hello, Geeky Glasses viewers. Ginger Geek here, once again joined by
BigGJamie. Hey guys.
and today we're going to do a quick little review of the newly released Mario Kart 8 DLC, as well as have a general discussion on DLC overall.
Yeah.
So, the Mario Kart 8 DLC, we've just played it. What do you think of it?
Yeah. If you if you like the game, you'll love the DLC. It is more of the same in the best possible way, really.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, it's an extra quarter to your game so far, and there's going to be another extra pack. So you're basically getting 50% extra added to your game for a third of the price of what the full retail release was. And this is really good DLC. The tracks you get have had polish just poured into them on the presentation front. Like, the environments look absolutely stunning. The gameplay mechanics incorporated them are even, new. For example, the Zelda stage introduces secret passageways that can be activated by doing things in the map. You have to hit 3 diamonds. It puts up a ramp by the Master Sword that you can jump on. Basically activates a shortcut. The F-Zero stage does away with coins. The coins are instead mapped to the NG pads that we know from the F-Zero games. They play about with the formula a little bit here and there, whilst also providing some excellent new tracks. Like, some of them are so much fun. I would go so far as to say there isn't a bad one amongst them. Would you agree with that?
To a degree, I found the Excitebike map a little repetitive. It's due to the homage to the original game, but at the end of the day, it is just a circle track with a bunch of ramps. It's like I can't imagine going at, like, when picking stages, that ain't gonna be one that I go to very often.
See, I really, really like the Excitebike stage. I would say it's one of my favorites, a new one. I'm sad to say that my least favorite is actually the Zelda one. I'm a massive fan of Zelda. Obviously, jumped straight away to playing as Link when we booted the game up, but that track was the only one that felt like it was a Mario Kart track already. Like, it didn't feel any different from previous Mario Kart tracks I played. The presentation and stuff that was poured into it was still great, and it was still a great addition. But it was the worst of a brilliant batch.
But, well, pedantics aside, we can both agree here that, the DLC's a great addition, and if you love Mario Kart, it's kind of a must-have.
Yeah, it's just more to an already great game. It's just, what's really amazing about it is it's just good DLC. And DLC is kind of a bane of the industry these days. If it was all like this, I don't think we'd mind. Do you know why it works? It works because Mario Kart 8 was a fully finished, fleshed out game. There was nothing missing from that. There was nothing that anybody was like, oh, this feels shorter than other games, or it had the exact same amount of content as all previous Mario Kart games. Had Nintendo never, ever, ever done DLC for this game, nobody would have batted an eyelid. Nobody would have even noticed. But this feels like what DLC should be. This feels like they finished the game, put it out, and then a couple of months later down the line went, hey, you know what'd be really cool? But we've already released it. Wouldn't it be mint if we added, like, other Nintendo tracks to it, like from other Nintendo series, and maybe put Link in the game? And it feels like that. It feels like they were revisiting and kind of like, let's add something to an already great game, rather than, let's take out some content so we can sell it at a higher price later. Which, stuff like the Assassin's Creed 2 DLC did with Bonfire of the Vanities. I mean, what's the last DLC you can say really fleshed out a game? I think Undead Nightmare.
In a similar vein to an expansion, but also standalone, probably Far Cry Blood Dragon.
Oh yeah, that was great.
But from a actual adding to the base game standpoint, I, off the top of my head right now, cannot recall of just a time where I've been generally either excited or, like, really incredibly happy. Like, I've got the Mass Effect DLC, the Mass Effect 3 Citadel, the DLC for that was really, really good. But it was another kind of almost separate entity. like it was within the game, but it was also kind of off to the side of the actual main game. So even this sort of DLC, I really don't ever remember getting excited about.
I think what it is DLC only works when it's lofty, when there's some weight to it.
Yeah.
Like Call of Duty, for example, put out map packs on a regular basis, and everybody gets them, and you have to get them because if you don't get them, you'll get kicked from the map when other games are playing. People are playing them, and etc. etc. It almost breaks the game for you every time they introduce a map pack. And sort of a lot of first-person shooters do that. A lot of third-person shooters do that. I think Gears of War has map packs as well. And it's just DLC done wrong because everybody complains about DLC, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if it's utilized right. Like, if you do something like this, where you add, an extra 50% to a game. This game is now 150% what it was. Or you just make an entirely new, use the core engine to explore an entirely new thing, like Undead Nightmare, like Blood Dragon. Almost, they are standalone games. You could have never played Red Dead Redemption, you could have never played Far Cry 3, and still get enjoyment out of Blood Dragon and Undead Nightmare. So if all DLC was to this high quality, I don't think I'd care that DLC. I'd like the idea that, years down the line, that classic game that I always enjoyed has got yet another huge pack of content. Nobody massively complained when we had expansion packs on PCs. There's something that's kind of dwindled off in favor of, shorter, more microtransaction-y DLC. But when people were Medieval Total War 2, for example, Medieval Total War 2 Kingdoms, really solid. Nobody was like, oh, what a rip-off, we'll have to pay for that. Because the first game was finished, and the second, the expansion pack, was lofty and chunky and fit.
But are you saying then that the sort of smaller DLC packs, like map packs, like smaller mission-centric DLC, that sort of stuff, that's all inherently wrong and shouldn't be a thing? Or all DLC should be not to this standard, but at the very least should strive to be to this standard. They either add something significant to the game or produce a sort of, an expansion pack. Do you think there is no room for good DLC that comes under the heading of map packs, small mission expansions, that sort of stuff?
No, not necessarily. I mean, this is a map pack if you look at it at its very core, but the difference between this and, say, a map pack that was released for Call of Duty, what was it? I think it was Modern Warfare 2 got the Insurgents pack, was it called, or the Resurrection? It was 6 new maps, and 4 of them were just maps from the previous game, and that was 12 quid, $15. The difference between that and this is these maps have clearly had a lot more effort put into them. For one, even the rehashed maps in this pack are brought up in graphical quality, repolished, changed about a bit, whereas the ones on Modern Warfare 2 were literally the exact same map from the previous game. But this Mario Kart 8 stuff was also 12 quid, and as I've already said, it adds an extra 50% to the game, and I would probably say that, a single Mario Kart track, and maybe I'm wrong on this one, but a single Mario Kart track, I am led to believe from friends who sort of work with games development, would be inherently harder to make than a Call of Duty map. I mean, for one, they can repeat a lot of textures across maps. They can repeat a lot of object placement, whereas you can't really have anything from the Helion Castle track making an appearance in the F-Zero one. These are all new original models. Not to mention the music. My God, the music that's went into this game it's obviously the classic tracks from the previous games, but it's been re-recorded again and remastered and with new instruments added, and they sound amazing. One of the adverts I've actually seen for this is the musicians just playing the song. They actually advertised it with the musicians, and they're so into it. It's just the entire thing, this entire little package, or rather big package, just feels like a real labor of love. It's an extra that nobody needed, but that it's the fact that it's there is like great. I mean, so yeah, I suppose in a way I am saying that there is no room for tiny DLC, because if you notice that the smaller and smaller it gets, the more and more it's annoying. Look at microtransactions in iPad games now. People hate those things, but they're only one step down from, horse armor in Oblivion.
Okay, yes, Okay, well, let's not get on the discussion of microtransactions. We'll be here for like another odd hour. But the point about the horse armor. So, are you suggesting that all cosmetic changes, for example, as paid DLC, are inherently bad for the industry? I mean, if you take games such as League of Legends or Dota online, I mean, the cosmetic changes on that never get a bad rap. People inherently like them and encourage the developers to do them. And hell, I mean, in some cases, the Team Fortress hats. In some cases, that they go some way to keeping the company afloat. And in the Team Fortress 2 example, giving fans money as well for designing hats.
Yeah, the crucial difference with those games, two things. One, they're originally free to play, and two, they're online. The free to play thing comes into play in that it's not so bad a stint to charge you for paid cosmetic DLC because you never had to pay for the game to begin with. That immediately it's not a shameless cash grab because they released the full massive title on its own, completely free to users. And obviously the online thing comes into it. You can't introduce mechanical DLC because not everybody's going to get the DLC. And when you're in an online competitive world, if you offer one player DLC and one player not, and those change the mechanics of the game, you are immediately giving that player a specific advantage or disadvantage. The only way you can get around it is, map packs. And I suppose that brings us back to the conversation. Okay, maybe I'll rescindicate the point on that. Maybe map packs would work in that fashion if they were for a free-to-play game. But I do still think cosmetic changes in single-player pursuits are legitimately pointless. I mean, there's no need for Shadow of Mordor, for example, a game that I personally love, to charge for its skins. It's just unnecessary, but it does. And I think it's really quite sad for the industry that even a game with excellence poured into it like that can still sort of initiate that kind of pretty naff practice. But yeah, I mean, if you guys have any examples of where DLC works, where it doesn't work, feel free to comment and point us in the direction of some things we might want to consider. And of course, you can always like and subscribe for more content. I've been the Ginger Geek.
I've been BigGJamie.
And this has been a video podcast for Two Geeks Game on Geeky Glasses TV. See you next time, geekies.